A question I get asked quite a bit as a professional organizer is, are you a marriage counselor? Do you have some background in counseling? And the answer is, nope, I don't. Just real life experience and having done this for a very, very long time. It is rare that when there is disorder or chaos in a house that it's not creating two kinds of problems. They're typically marriage problems and or financial problems. And what I want to talk about today are the marriage problems that come up. So no, I don't have an academic background in counseling, but I do have a lot of experience of helping couples talk to each other, listen to each other, and getting beyond points of impasse. So one of the things that I have seen so many times is people presume that because my spouse is doing or not doing something, it means X. And it might, but you don't know that. And so what I like to encourage people is, until you are just shown to you blatantly, assume you married a well-intentioned person. They want the same things that you want. They want good for you. They want good for themselves, good for the family. But people go about it in different ways. Now, one of the things might be that your expectations are just off. Maybe you want perfection in a world that perfect doesn't really exist. Maybe you want things done very quickly, and that's just not going to happen. So one of the things I want to talk about is and examine, are the expectations realistic? Let's say that they are. Then you need to consider, how are we as a couple different people? Maybe I'm a very tidy person by nature and my spouse is not. Maybe my spouse is a very visual person and I'm not. I trust my memory. I trust that when I put something in a drawer, on a shelf, I'm going to remember where it is. If your spouse is a very visual person, they may have just an innate fear that out of sight means out of mind, and I will forget about it, I won't do that thing, and it's frightening to them. Speaking of fear, another thing that I see a lot of is you might not realize some of the fears that your spouse has. Fears of disappointing somebody if you get rid of something, fears of needing it later, fears of having been some expectations set earlier in life that, one holds on to those things. If you throw away something that's sentimental, it's like you threw away the person themselves. There are a lot of things that you need to talk through to figure out the why. So decluttering, when you're at a point of impasse in the home, is not just about what are the tips and tricks to get rid of things. It's how do we do that and make everybody feel like it's a win when we're done, as opposed to, well, I got through that battle and I'm still sort of alive. That's not a win. One of the things that as a professional organizer, as a third party, that I could do is I can listen in different ways. I can hear things, I can restate things, and that's why I think people kind of confuse that ability with the marriage counselor, because that's what counseling is about. It's about learning to communicate. Communication is talking, communication is listening. You know what? A lot of times you have to back off on your expectations on how things are going to be done and figure out, it's not about me, it's not about them, it's about us. How do we find the best solution for us? So I just want to encourage you, if you're trying this on your own, great, you can do it. You know your spouse better than anybody. But really, really listen. And then not in a manipulative way, not trying to trick them in any way, but just figure out, well, okay, if you're afraid of that, or that's a concern for you, what if we did it this way? And you may be surprised that there's a lot of little things along the way that can be changed that in total make everything better. Even if it's not that picture perfect place that you originally were looking for. You can do this. If you need to get help from somebody that's listening and helping you listen to each other, don't hesitate to do that. You might be working on an organizing project, but learning those things about communication, it's going to run through everything that you do in life, and it's going to make for a better marriage.